Okay, so let's talk about it. Bob Proctor. So I want to tell you about this. This is back in 2020, and all my businesses had failed. I remember pirating courses like Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, marketing funnels, all these different strategies to try to grow my business to the next level. And it seemed like nothing that I was doing was working. And I was ended up having to drive for Uber for like 4 months, sleeping on my grandparents' couch. And I started to think to myself, like, no matter how hard I work, no matter how many courses I take, it just seems like nothing was working. But then it's like fate came along when I met Bob Proctor. You guys have probably seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret. And I remember seeing The Secret a couple years prior to that. And I was like, okay, this law of attraction thing sounds kind of interesting, but I didn't really know how to apply it, right? And Bob Proctor was in that movie. So I was listening to different podcasts like Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, and listening to Bob Proctor, it was like the first guy that like made sense to me, because Tony Robbins was like a lot of hype and anyways, but Bob Proctor made a lot of sense to me. So after about I would say about a month or so listening to Bob Proctor and Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret, I would listen to it at least 4 to 5 times a day. Like, it's so funny because Bob would talk about repetition. And so I would listen to The Strangest Secret, one earbud in my ear and the other one driving people in Uber. And I didn't know at the time, but I was literally reprogramming my subconscious mind, listening to the same thing over and over and over again. And so I'm watching the YouTube videos from Bob Proctor, and then he started saying that they were having an event in Los Angeles. So I'm going to tell you guys this story. By the way, I haven't told these stories before, but I had to save up a little bit of money to go to this event. It was $500 at the time. And here was the thing. It was actually sold out. It was a sold out event, and I couldn't actually buy a ticket. And I kept calling, and they said, no, we're sold out. And then finally, after maybe 3 or 4 phone calls, I called the lady and I said, listen, you're either going to take my money over the phone call or you'll take it in person when I arrive there. Which would you rather prefer? And she's like, oh shit, right? She hangs up, calls me back and said, okay, we'll get you a ticket. So I end up going to this Bob Proctor event, and I sit all the way in the back. I don't know if I'm going to show you guys this picture. My friend recorded me. I sat all the way in the back. There's probably maybe 1,000 people in this room or something like that. And I want you to remember this, guys. I literally had $180 when I went to that event in Los Angeles. I was so broke that I would drive for Lyft. You can do the same where you if you do a ride, you can do an instant payout. And so I would drive for Lyft, do an instant payout just so I could eat that day. That's how broke I was going into this event. So think about this. If you're in Los Angeles with $180, where are you going to sleep? You're not getting a hotel for $180 anywhere in Los Angeles. Maybe a motel, but some crap shit, right? But obviously I slept in my car at this 3-day event. So that's what I did. So I would go to sleep. I don't even know if I took a shower, to be honest. I don't even remember. I probably figured out, but I know I didn't get a hotel. That was for sure. So anyways, I'm sleeping in my car. I don't think I showered. I don't know. Maybe I got a gym membership. But I'm sitting here and I'm at this Bob Proctor event, sitting in the back thinking my life has to change because what I'm doing is not working. Working 10-hour days is not working. Going door to door is not working. Taking all these courses is not working. Taking all this education, everything that everybody told me to do, it was just not working for me. So I was looking for another option. So when Bob Proctor is talking about raise your frequency, raise your vibration, law of attraction, I'm like, what the hell does this mean? But obviously what was working, nothing was working for me. So I said, you know what, let me try this law of attraction thing. So I was at this event in Los Angeles, and right there in my intuition, something told me that I needed to work with him. Because remember, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I'm used to working in the material world, working in the matrix. And so my intuition tells me to stay after the event, and they're always pitching something. So I stayed over and they pitched a consultant opportunity to become a consultant. It was a cool idea where I would basically franchise. I would sell and teach his mindset programs. I met this girl named Maddie. You can find her actually on my old channel. She was making $100,000 a month, and that inspired me because I want you to know how low my self-image was. My self-image was in the gutter, negative $10,000, creditors calling me, no money. I never had more than $2,000 in my bank account at any period. My self-image was very low. So I believe, it was this weird thing. I believed that I could earn millions of dollars, but I didn't if you ask me at a real belief level, deep level, I didn't know if I could actually do it. So when I met this girl Maddie and I saw her making $100,000 a month, it actually built enough belief in me that I should probably do this thing, because what I was doing at the time was I was obviously driving for Uber, delivering Amazon packages, which by the way is one of my most viewed videos. Is me delivering Amazon packages on my other YouTube channel. And so that's what I was doing. But I went all in. What else was I gonna do? And I told you guys this story many times. I was planning on starting an Amazon business, and my credit was shit. So I ended up getting a credit card with my grandfather, and my idea was I was gonna buy Amazon product. I ended up bidding him like a spreadsheet. I'm like, Grandpa, here's the products I'm gonna buy, and here's what we're gonna do. Here's gonna be your return on investment, right? I built like a whole like portfolio thing for him, a proposal rather. And what ended up happening was that credit card came in right before I went to LA. So when they said, DeAndre, do you want to be a consultant with us? And they said it's $30,000. Clearly, I didn't have that. And then I said, what's the down payment? They said $10,000. I didn't have that, but I did have $5,000 on that credit card. So I put $5,000 on my grandpa's credit card that was supposed to be for the Amazon product. Remember, I built this whole proposal. He agreed on it. We ended up getting the credit card together for that product in that proposal, and I ended up doing like a left turn. And guys, I remember being so nervous, thinking like, what am I doing? How am I going to get clients? What am I going to do? Like, am I a law of attraction coach? Like, I didn't really know. But my intuition told me really strongly that was something that I needed to do. So that's what I ended up doing. And I put it on my grandpa's credit card. And let me tell you, and by the way, he accepted $5,000. Now, that was the VP at the time. So he accepted $5,000. I put it on my grandpa's credit card. And guys, let me tell you, I was so nervous. I was so scared. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I just put $5,000, which at the time was probably the most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life outside of a car. I'm like, what am I doing? I want you guys to understand like how afraid I was. This is how afraid I was. I was like excited and afraid at the same time. And I remember leaving the event. I went to my homie's house. He was having like a housewarming party, my homie Mo. And I remember thinking like, man, I just started Bob Proctor, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. The terror barrier, the difference between the old version of yourself and the new version of yourself. And at that point, I was like, wait, how am I going to get clients? Where am I going to get money from? I don't know if I can actually do this. And so what did I end up doing? I ended up going back to the event. This is the third day, I believe now. And I said, hey, you know what? I don't think I can do this. I don't have the money. I don't have the clients. I don't think this is a good fit. I don't think I can make the $3,300 monthly payment in order to keep access to this program. I only make $1,000 per month. I don't even have $1,000 to my name. That's what I was saying. You know what he said to me? And it completely changed my life. And this is exactly why I don't get refunds for my clients. And I've never given a refund, maybe one time. And all 500 of my clients, I've never given a refund. And it's for this particular reason. You know what he says to me? He says, DeAndre, we don't do refunds. So you either A, continue with the program, or B, leave it and go about your life. And at that point, I had to sit with that in my stomach. And I realized that I couldn't back out. What was I going to do now? I just spent all this money. And so I want you to understand how powerful fear is. Like, there's like a difference. It's like an abundance fear. A lot of you operate from fear of like, oh my God, I don't know if I can make it. But there's a different kind of fear when you go all in. That is the key, ladies and gentlemen. Going all in. And it was at that moment when he said that they don't do refunds that I had to go all in. So what did I do? I stopped doing everything. I stopped with the Uber. I stopped with Amazon. I stopped. Like, I want you to understand, I went all in. I was like, I got 30 days to figure this out. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I would study that, guys. And what I was doing, I was selling and marketing Bob Proctor's program called Thinking Into Results. So I needed to become a product of the product, because here's one thing that Bob Proctor told me, and I'm going to say it to you. He said this, DeAndre, if you study this material, you're going to need a telescope to look back at your life. I didn't believe him, but I had to. Like, that was my only form of hope. So that's what I did. And I just studied it. Here's what I would do. I set big goals. I would meditate. I would use the law of attraction, right? I was doing everything to try to raise my vibration, right? I want you to understand that I was like naive. I was like, okay, if this law of attraction, law of vibration thing works, like I'm going all in. Like you could not have told me any other way. Like I went all in. I think that's what separates me from a lot of people, is I actually go all in on things. I went all in. And I stopped everything. I'm sleeping on my grandparents' couch. But here's one thing that I did learn. I'm studying twice a day, 3 times a day. I'm meditating. I'm getting emotionally involved. I'm doing everything that Bob Proctor is telling me. I'm doing it all, everything. But there was one moment that I think that changed everything for me. Look at this, guys. We got this beautiful palm right here. We're going to pull up right here. And that was, I couldn't stay in that negative environment. I was sleeping on my grandparents' couch, remember? Look at this. Look at this. We got the beautiful palm right here. I don't know if you guys can get this right here. Look at this. Man-made island, all imagination. Whether you're coming from this angle from the palm, whether you're coming from this angle from the city life over there, like absolutely amazing. We can create whatever reality we want. And so I knew I had to leave that environment. So we're gonna have to be wrapping up here in a couple of minutes, guys. We're here at this Aura, which is like this, little pool. Not little pool, biggest pool, I think highest pool in the world. But we're gonna have to wrap up in a second. But I knew I had to get out of that couch. So what did I do? I told you the story before. So I as I'm practicing the law of vibration, law of attraction, I said I needed to create a vacuum. What if I was to say pack my bags and act as if I was going to Colombia? Because at the time I was living in Colombia for like a year. I said, okay, I can't afford living in Miami, so I'm going to go down to Colombia. So I packed my bags even when I didn't have the money. I want you to know how crazy this is. Guys, I was so broke at the time. My grandma, she's like, DeAndre, do you even have any money to go to Colombia? I said, Grandma, I don't even have enough money to take a taxi to a hotel, even if I had a hotel. Like, that's how broke I was. But you know what's crazy? I created a vacuum with the universe. Literally the next day, out of nowhere, I get this random phone call. This guy calls me, yo, DeAndre, you still run Instagram ads for local businesses? That's what I used to do when I first got to Miami. I said, no, I don't do that anymore, but I do mindset, right? And you know what's so crazy? I switched them from wanting to buy ads for marketing, which I had done like 2 years prior to him calling me. This was back in 2018 when I was doing ads and stuff, to the point where he called me and I ended up selling him the Bob Proctor program. And then I buy my flight to Colombia, my bag's already packed, and I leave to Colombia. That month changed everything for me. I land in Colombia, and then quarantine happened. And guys, that was a scary ass time for me. But I ended up deciding to stay in Colombia. And now I have a beautiful Colombian girlfriend, as you guys know, Vanessa. So I'm sitting there in Colombia thinking like, right, lockdowns are happening, and I have a choice. Do I stay or do I go? And I ended up staying. But I remember when pandemic hit, I made a decision that this thing was going to make me rich. While other people were losing their jobs and getting scared, I said, I'm going to get rich from this. I'm not going to participate in the negative economy. And out of nowhere, I swear to God, I'm going to tell you this story. But I'm listening to lesson 4 of the program that I now give my clients called Thinking into Results. By lesson 4, my entire life changed. And check this out. I would visualize myself having a fully booked out calendar. I remember this. I remember sitting on this couch, and 2 to 3 times a day, what I would do is I would imagine myself shifting through Google Calendar. Because if you're a coach and you have appointments, you're going to make money. So I'd visualize myself scrolling on this calendar. I remember feeling states of having anxiety. I remember feeling like overwhelming, like when am I going to go to the bathroom? What am I going to eat? I have so many appointments. And I'd visualize that 2 to 3 times a day. And in 7 days, it became real. You know what's the craziest thing? I didn't have to go find it. I manifested it. It came to me, and it came to me in the most unexpected route. And that's one thing I want to leave you guys with. Whatever you're manifesting, whatever you're planting into your subconscious mind, it will always come from an unexpected route. Through the bridge of incidents, random things will start to happen, and it will start to actually put you in the position. But it'll always come at first when it looks like a failure. First it looks like a failure, but actually it's the back door of the success of the things you're trying to manifest. So here I am, and I'm doing these Zoom calls randomly for these people, and I'm like, man, I'm just practicing my coaching, and I'm getting on these sales calls, and people are saying, you should talk to Neno, you should talk to Neno. I said, well, I don't know what a Neno is. It sounds like a fish. It sounds like a fish. I didn't know what a Neno was, but it was a person. 2 days later, this Neno guy messages me, yo, DeAndre, what's going on? I saw you working with Bob Proctor. Like, I like what you're doing with, teaching people this material. What if you come on my podcast and teach this to me and teach it to my people? I said, okay, how many people go on your podcast? He said about 200, 300. I said, okay, well, it's better than the 30 people that I'm doing right now. So we ended up scheduling that podcast for a Monday. And let me tell you this, my life changed forever. We get on that podcast. That was his largest podcast ever at the time. 1,500 people ended up getting on that podcast. And guess what? I dropped my calendar link and I made $100,000 cash in 14 days, scaling to my first $1 million in less than 18 months, literally teaching the law of attraction. Everything in my life changed, from sleeping in a car to taking that risk to working with Bob Proctor, to taking that risk of going to Colombia and packing my bags prior, to taking that risk of staying in Colombia. Every risk that I took had an equal and opposite success on the other side. So when I hit those 100K months, 200K months, my life changed forever. And let me tell you this, I became a product of the product. And I knew at that time that the law of attraction, the law of vibration, the things that Bob Proctor was teaching me was real, and it happened for me. And now I've been able to teach it to my clients. And I live here now in beautiful Dubai, manifesting my dream girlfriend, manifesting my dream life, manifesting my dream business. And day by day, I'm just trying to inspire you guys to do the same. If I can go from sleeping in a couch, right? If I can go from sleeping in a couch, sleeping on air mattresses, sleeping on cars, to now living in my dream city here in Dubai. Now we're going to be heading off to Bali here in a second. And if there's one thing I can give you that changed my life, is that I took risks. I bet on myself. I took risks. I bet on myself. I went all in. I studied. I gave it my all. I never quit. I persisted. And that was the things that changed everything for me. And I don't care how difficult it gets. I will continue to go. I will continue to show up. And if you have that level of persistence, your life will change. But don't be a pussy. You have to go after it and capture your goals. Go after it with all your might and go all in. And if there's one thing that I can say, it's not about going all in on some outside external thing. It's going all in on yourself. Going all in on reprogramming who you are, your state of being. Before you do, you must first become. Focus on becoming. Becoming precedes all doing. Becoming precedes all action. And becoming precedes all feeling states of manifesting what you want. So if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, ladies and gentlemen. The law of attraction is real. The law of vibration is real. You can create your dream reality, but you're going to have to bet on yourself. That was my story, Mr. Law of Attraction. That's what happened to me. It can happen to me. It can happen to you. Subscribe below. See you in the next video. Check out this video. You'll probably like it. It'll inspire you. You'll learn how to apply this to your life and go to the next level. See you guys soon.